Well, thank you for coming in. Again, I'm Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist, the Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. Proverbs 23, after Proverbs 24, I do advise, please look back at the last message. There's too much in that to recapitulate. But basically it was go on your gut instinct and do not allow people to waste your life, because a lot of the time their heart is not with you. That'll start off that it appears their heart is with you, but as things go on they diminish. Okay, that's how the sinful nature works. Saying number 10 of Proverbs 23 verse 9, where it says, do not speak to a fool, for he will despise the wisdom of your words. When you're trying to resolve an issue or get things done or help someone, even if they're a fool, they're going to despise your wisdom. I've had 13 apprentices as a bricklayer, and I trained a lot of young men as a slaughterman. One of my trainees as a young slaughterman, teaching slaughterman, became a slaughterman on the first leg. The cut was called the first leg on the beef slaughter floor, which was one of the most precision cuts. I helped him to make it there. Barry Hart was his name. G'day Barry, if you're listening. He made it to first leg, the most supreme cut on the beef slaughter floor. And I remember when he first picked up the knife. Good old Barry Hart. And God bless Derek Hart, who helped me to buy my first house. I think he's passed away now. Do not speak to a fool, for he will despise the wisdom of your words. And I've seen this time and time again. And I know how it works. So let's just identify a fool. 25 characteristics of a fool. They despise wisdom and instruction. They hate knowledge. They grieve their mother. They enjoy devising mischief. They're right in their own eyes. They're quick to anger. They hate to depart from evil. They love their drugs and their alcohol and careless sex and things. They're deceitful. They're arrogant and careless. All the scriptures are here. You can copy this down. Rejects his father and his instructions. Despises both his mother and father. Does not respond well to discipline. Does not understand wisdom. Has a worldly focus, a carnal view system. That's the dark value system that we're working under now. But that doesn't mean you follow it. Stick with the ancient boundary system, where you've got boundaries and values and integrity. Grieves his parents, hurts his parents. There's a lot about the parents here, isn't there, with the fool? Will not discuss any viewpoint but his own. Provokes others to strife and anger by his words. Has a smart mouth, usually gets him into trouble. Is quarrelsome, contentious. Is a spendthrift, they're usually in debt. Repeats the same mistakes over and over, like a dog returns to its vomit. So a fool repeats his folly. That's a very important passage. Trusts in his own heart, can't get beyond himself. Cannot resolve conflicts, that's a sign of a fool. I know what that's all about, believe me. And gives full vent to his anger. A fool gives full vent to his spirit, but a wise man holds it back. But even the wise man can be sent over the edge if you push him far enough. You're in the relationship and things are starting to crash down around you. You've decided it's time to speak to the fool. They've hurt their parents and grieved them. and they're not responding to any discipline. They're arrogant, careless, and deceitful, and they won't depart from their evil. Quick to anger and right in their own eyes, enjoying their divisive mischief, and grieving their mother, who they're probably enmeshed with, hating knowledge and despising wisdom and instruction. You decide that it's time to get some things on the table with your partner, him or her. You're tired of the smart mouth. It's getting them into trouble again, and they're quarrelsome. They've spent all their money, and they're repeating it over and over. And they're trusting in their folly, which is misleading them because they don't know any other way. They don't want to know any other way. And their conflicts are building to the point where nobody else can take it. And their anger is a way of trying to block out all this stuff that they're doing to hurt not only themselves but everybody else around them. And you've come to confront the issue, and the fool has despised the wisdom of your words. And now we've got a standoff, we've got a stalemate. You've decided not to move the ancient boundary stone. You've decided that moral and integrity in this instance of trying to deal with grief, the devastating mischief and pride, the bong snaps, brain snaps, the love for evil and deceitfulness, arrogance and carelessness, and the rejection of the father's guidance and mother's guidance, and not listening at all, not responding to any discipline, doesn't understand the wisdom that's being offered, and it's just a total grief to the parents and an embarrassment to the parent. And I'm talking about teenagers, 20, 30, 40, 50-year-old people. They just never got it together, and all they've done is hurt their parents. A foolish son is a grief to his father and bitterness to those who bore him. And you've decided it's time, finally time, to put some boundaries in place. You're worn out. You're worn. You've had enough. They've worn you out. And you've been wise enough now to restrain yourself and decide that I can't rescue this person any longer. I need to get boundaries in place so that we can try and come to some kind of sensible resolve for the relationship. You don't want to encroach on the fields of the fatherless. You are paying respect, as much respect as possible, to this person. They've gone wayward from their father. They're completely out of the boundaries of their father. They've rejected their father's instruction. A fool despises his father's instruction. Okay, he's rejected his father. It's like his father doesn't exist. My daughter, a police officer, she 3 weeks ago, there was a man, father murdered his son, murdered his father, and my daughter got the call to the job down at Barara, and all that man did was try and help his son. The son killed him. This is how far it can get. This is how far this can go. This is how far they go from wisdom. Some of these people will turn and kill you. Because why? They're full of anger. They're a ticking time bomb. They don't know how to regulate themselves. Look, they're quick to anger. The vexation of a fool is known at once. A fool gives full vent to his spirit or anger. It's rage. Rage. Narcissistic rage. And you've decided that you're going to stand on the boundaries that your fathers have taught you. You're at your end. and you realize that your Christian pedigree is going to now be primary in your life. You've come back to the Redeemer. You know that the boundaries and the ways of the wise are centered around the Lord Jesus Christ, and you've decided to come back to your pedigree and apply His principles, His ways of doing things to this situation. Him or her is despising your wisdom in the relationship, all your words of advice and compassion and showing where the problems are and where they need to change. And you've decided not to move the ancient boundary stone. You're going to stand on your morals now. You're not going to encroach disrespectfully. You're just going to get through with it. The battle belongs to the Lord, and He will take up the case against you. But this is based on you setting up your boundaries under your Christian moral code, because this person slipped out from under that and is walking in the worldly system, the dark value system. The discerning sets his face toward wisdom, but the eyes of a fool are on the ends of the earth. The ends of the earth is not good. There comes a point in a lot of relationships now where people aren't listened to. They're ignored. They're then despised, resented, and devalued. And it comes to a point in some people's lives where all that's left, and that's where I've been way back when I was 28, I turned to the Lord Jesus Christ. I was tired of being a fool. I was tired of watching fools. And I decided that it was time for me to learn wisdom, and I set out on a 30-year journey with Christ. When your partner has become foolish and gone into a devalue mode where you're being neglected, abused, despised, and rejected, turn to the Christian realms of boundaries, and I'm going to give you some boundary tips. We've run out of time, but here's some simple examples. Declining anything you don't want to do. Expressing your feelings responsibly. Talking about your experiences honestly. Replying in the moment. And addressing problems directly with the person involved rather than with a third party, which is triangulation. Do not speak to a fool, for he will despise, or they will despise, the words of your wisdom. But make sure you have words of wisdom. I'm Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist, Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. Bye for now.